Have you ever worried about your sensitive information leaking through AI systems? What happens when your knowledge based system, which contains your, confidential information, your customer data, financial data, health records, that exposed to LLM and unauthorized users? Bit scary, right? I have a solution for you. So I will teach you how to build a knowledge-based privacy-first document processing system along with Aparavi data toolchain, which will automatically classifies and anonymize your sensitive confidential information before entering into vector database. I'll show you step-by-step guide tutorial to how to make it on Aparavi data toolchain. But before that, I want to show you the results, how it looks like on vector dataset and on Aparavi dashboard. Come with me. So this is the Aparavi dashboard. Here we're going to store our dataset, then data parser, which will classify and anonymize your sensitive data information into your vector store. Again, we have multiple options for our vector store. You can choose VB8, Pinecone. For instance, we have selected vector store Qdrant. So let's see the result in Qdrant vector store. So this is the data set. This is information of XYZ person from XYZ company and its email ID and all other acknowledgement information, which is a bit confidential. That's why it's hidden. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to make a privacy-based first documentation processing system using Aparavi system. Let's dive into the step-by-step tutorial. This is Aparavi dashboard. Here you're going to select sample project, and we already have a sample classify and anonymize template here. So let's start with the source. Source node is nothing but where you're going to store, where you want your data to fetch from. So if you see in right bottom icon, there are a lot of options for source node. For example, AWS S3, you need to put your access key and secret key for that. Google Drive, Microsoft Outlook, we have multiple options here. So here we are selecting Aparavi sample data. We have stored multiple data set here inside this Google Drive. If you see, there are bunches of data. For our project, we're going to select hackathon folder, which will go inside data parser. So basically we are splitting our data set into categories like audio, image, table, text, video, which will go into classification. This connector classifies your data into categories like if you have social security number, your password, your email ID. If you have health related data, go ahead and choose this option where you can select as per your wish. For instance, we are choosing United States option. If you go ahead, text anonymize. So when you classify your information, which is like which one is to hide or which one is confidential information, this will anonymize, which means this will replace your confidential information into token. For example, we have put by default token here. You can give any one you want, like you can give star, hash, dollar. If you go ahead and hit save, we have preprocessor general text, which will split our text into chunks, which will store in documents, and those documents will go into embedding transformers, which will convert your chunks into embeddings. And at last, we will store our data into vector store. Like I said, we have multiple options for vector store. We have VB8, we have Qdrant, Pinecone, Milvus, Chroma. We're gonna go ahead and select Qdrant. Let me show you how it works. Okay, here we have two host type for the Qdrant vector store. If you want to go select your own Qdrant server, we have step-by-step guide on our Aparavi page. You can go ahead and follow those steps. For instance, we are going for Qdrant cloud server. We're gonna put our host key and API key. Again, if you go on web and if you search for Qdrant, you're gonna create your new cluster for your data set, and that is the place where you will get your host key and API key. The place where we have created our cluster, from that you can get your host key, API key, and don't forget to mention the collection name also, and hit save. We need to save every time, because if we don't save config, the pipeline won't run. So this is our sample pipeline, which is ready to go. Let me quickly summarize everything. We have fetched our data from Google Drive from Aparavi sample data. We put data parser to split the files. We have classification, which classify our confidential information, which anonymize it, splitting, chunking, embedding, and here we go. Our data is stored in vector store successfully. Let's just go ahead and run the pipeline to see the results. So here is the thing. If you have seen error while running the pipeline, before that you have to make sure that you have put activation key on Aparavi dashboard. Okay, if you don't know how to do it, we have link in the description, video description. You can just go and click on it and follow the step-by-step guide for the activation key. And yes, our pipeline is running successfully. And let's say the results. Here is a list of collections, and we entered Aparavi D as our collection, and you can see our data is successfully entered in our vector store, and you can see now our data is hidden and masked successfully. We have completed our privacy first documentation processing system with Aparavi. Let me know on what projects you're working on. Follow the step-by-step guide, and I'll see you in the next video.